Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be giving my Premier League predictions for Week 6 Premier League fixtures. And what a weekend of football we had yet again. We saw Liverpool destroy Crystal Palace 3-0. We had Tottenham get decimated by their London rivals Chelsea in the second half 3-0. We saw a surprise shock with Man City drawing to Southampton at home when everyone thought they were going to destroy them 3 or 4-0 like they do with the little clubs. An amazing week of football, but this weekend it looks like we've been set for better fixtures. We have Chelsea v Man City, both title favourites. We got the North London derby between Arsenal and Tottenham. We even have Crystal Palace and Brighton, which they have their own derby as well. Let's hope for another magical weekend of fixtures, and let's just hope for a lot of goals this weekend. But before going this video, you know what I'm going to say. Make sure you guys like, comment, and hit that big subscribe button right there. Make sure you guys, you give me your own predictions in the comment section. Who do you think is going to win this weekend in terms of the Premier League fixtures? Let me know who's going to win. So the first game I'm going to be predicting is Chelsea versus Man City, and these two are the favourites to win the Premier League this season. It can't get bigger than this game, right? We have the Premier League champions on one side, and we've got the European champions on the other side, going into a Titan clash this Saturday. It's going to be an amazing fixture, and although it's maybe a little bit too early to say it's going to impact the title race, it's going to be telling to show which team can pick off a lot of points in terms of the big games. But in terms of this game, let me just start off with Man City. And a surprise, shocking result against Southampton, seeing them draw 0-0. Who would have thought Man City wouldn't be able to score at home against a lower team side, like I said earlier? And the thing is, it's not that they just drew the game, it's the manner they drew in the game. If you saw the shots on target, they only had one shot on target in the entirety of 90 minutes. Who would have thought that would have happened to Man City? Maybe a lower league side, but not Man City, when we know they make a bundle of chances, so surely they're going to get a shot on target. But this just adds to the argument. It adds to the fuel of Man City fans and even neutral fans saying that Man City desperately need a striker. And although I don't believe that this season, I think they can still win the Premier League without a striker, it's undeniable that they do need a striker against Chelsea, considering the fact that they've tried this formation, they've tried this philosophy of a false nine against Chelsea, and have been beaten twice last season. FA Cup semi-finals and obviously the finals of the Champions League. It's clear that they need a number 9 or at least a willing runner in behind to make the runs against Chelsea, because we know last season, obviously we saw, when you let Chelsea sit back and stay compact and you have all these fluid midfielders like Grealish or Gundogan or Mahrez who want ball to feet, they're always going to have the players in front of them so they can mark them. But when you have those players running in behind, that's the best way to beat Chelsea, because that's going to stretch the game and it's going to provide even more space for the creative midfielders in between the defence and the midfield. That's why I'm saying Sterling and even Jesus is going to be important in terms of starting this game, because we know they can run it in behind and stretch the Chelsea defence, which will provide more space for the creative players. However, even though I said that's a positive, we saw in the Champions League final where we saw Reece James lock up Sterling. Is there really an answer to beat this Chelsea side? They're just so good. They're a well-oiled machine, like I like saying. They're methodical, they're robust. They know how to grind out results. They know how to keep clean sheets, like we saw against Tottenham. It looked like they got flabbergasted in the first 20 minutes or so, but they found their footing, especially in the second half, and they came and dominated Spurs at their own stadium. So it's just going to be difficult for Man City to win this game, especially at Stamford Bridge, and especially the way Chelsea are able to keep clean sheets and play defensive football and succeed. It's just going to be too difficult, and that's why I can't see Man City winning, especially when Chelsea, in all honesty, are probably going to play Kante there, so he's going to screen the defence, help them out, obviously against the creative midfielders in that space. Thiago Silva had an amazing game against Tottenham. Christensen's going under the radar, proving that he's a good centre-back, and even Rudiger is having an amazing season like he did last year. The side defensively are just going to be too strong for Man City, and Pep Guardiola has not found his way around defeating Tuchel just yet in the Premier League when it's truly mattered, because obviously he did beat them last year at the Etihad, but that was when Chelsea were focusing on other competitions. So it's going to be interesting to see how Man City set up. But at the end of the day, Chelsea have not lost the game. They've only conceded 1 goal, and that 1 goal wasn't even in open play. So I don't even see Man City scoring, even though they've been scoring a lot of goals in the last 3 or 4 games or so. So I think Chelsea are going to be able to keep a clean sheet, and I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory for the Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is the North London derby, man. And I'm just going to hold my hands up. I have never seen a boring game between these two sides, honestly, in the last 4 or 5 years or so. There's always goals, there's always thrills, there's always controversial decisions. But at the end of the day, it's always joyous to watch as a neutral. Thank God I'm not an Arsenal Spurs fan. We've seen 5-2s, we've seen 2-0s, we've seen great results going for either side. And let's just hope for more of the same this fixture, just like we saw last year. But in terms of this game against Arsenal, Brentford v Tottenham, it's going to be telling for both sides. I feel like both sides need it because they've been inconsistent in terms of the Premier League this season. Spurs winning their first 3 games 1-0, then losing 2 games in a row. Then you had Arsenal doing the reverse, losing 3 games in a row, but winning their last 2 games 1-0. So you can say by the balance of probabilities, Arsenal do have higher hopes and have more confidence going into this game against Tottenham compared to Tottenham going into this game against Arsenal. But at the end of the day, it's a derby, form goes out the window, and you can never really tell between these 2 clubs because one minute you're thinking, okay, potentially they can challenge for a Europa League spot, and the next minute you're just left disappointed. But in terms of Arsenal, it's going to be interesting to see what Mikel Arteta does because we literally just saw against Burnley, man. He didn't care, man. He unleashed the hounds. He was playing all his attacking players, Smith Rowe, Odegaard, Saka, Aubameyang, and even Pepe all in the same side. It's going to be interesting. Is he going to change his tactic? Is he going to bring Lokonga alongside Partey in this game against Tottenham and not just go gun-ho like this? Because obviously we saw when Tottenham won 2-0 at the White Hart Lane Stadium last season, they were playing counter-attacking football. And although it's a different manager, I think Nuno's going to be looking at that sort of style and seeing how it's going to be successful. And he knows that sort of style because that's how he plays with Tottenham and has played for Wolves in the last 3 or 4 years or so. Like I said, it's going to be interesting to see if Arteta will switch it up. Is he going to literally look at Son and Kane and see how he's going to stop them and play Lokonga alongside Partey? Or is he going to be like, nope, we're going to dominate this game, we're in a better run of form, and we are Arsenal and we always defeat Spurs? But in terms of this game, I can talk about tactics all day long, man. I can talk about the statistics, I can talk about the match facts, I can talk about the results in the last 5 or 6 years or so. But at the end of the day, when it comes to a North London derby, what matters, which team wants it more on the day? Which team is going to go in 50-50 battles? Which team is going to do headers? Which team are going to do tactical fouls? Which team is going to rile up the crowd? Which team are going to be looking at this game thinking, we must win it. We have the passion, we have the desire, we have the determination to win this game. And that team is going to win this game. Because we've seen in the last 3 or 4 years, it's a team which just wants it more. And going into this game, I just think Arsenal want this game more. It means more to them. We just saw Spurs get humiliated by Crystal Palace 3-0. We just saw Spurs lose another London derby to Chelsea 3-0. So why on earth would I think they're going to turn up against obviously their closer rivals, but obviously they're going to be bothered to turn up in their last 2 London derbies? So I don't have faith in them that they're going to turn up against Arsenal, especially that they've only won at the Emirates Stadium once in the last 13-14 years or so in the Premier League. So that even gives more reason to think why are Spurs going to win. I think Arsenal will have the quality. I think they're finding their foot in the league so far. And I know it's not clicking on all cylinders when it comes to scoring goals because they've only been scoring 1-0. I think this game is going to give them the boost. It's going to give them the feeling that they can actually do something in the league this season. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory for Arsenal in this game. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is Brentford versus Liverpool. And stylistically, I feel like this has the potential to be one of the best games this weekend, man. And let me just start with Brentford. What a great start. 5 games in, have 8 points, 8th place or 9th place, I believe. They're doing tremendously well so far when you had pundits and even fans thinking potentially they're shooing to get relegated, considering the fact that they don't have Premier League experience. But I like the way Thomas Frank has adapted his style of football when it comes to playing certain oppositions. He respects the Premier League, unlike Norwich, and seeing, okay, when a team is playing against us, what are their weaknesses? Let's change our style. Let's adapt to the situation and take advantage of their weaknesses. We saw against Arsenal with the high pressure, bullying the centre-backs as well. And we saw against Wolves when they literally played defensive-minded football, stay compact, because they know Wolves like to play attacking football with their new manager, and literally counted on them with Ivan Toney and their other forwards, and were able to get the goals. So I respect Thomas Frank, and I think he'll be thinking, how can we beat Liverpool? Obviously adjusting his tactics yet again to expose their weaknesses. But in terms of Liverpool, we've just been in fine form lately, man. Obviously, we have the same record as Chelsea, sitting at the top of the league pretty with them as well. Literally, we had conceded 13 14 goals this time last season. Now with Van Dijk, showing the impact of when a world-class centre-back plays for our side, provides us with that defensive stability, only conceding 1 goal all season so far. So in terms of this game, I'm in high spirits as a Liverpool fan, and I feel like we can win, but I do know it's going to be tough in terms of the atmosphere. The bees are going to be buzzing. Another top 6 side going to their stadium and showing that maybe their team can compete. And we know the last time that happened when a top 6 side went to their stadium, they were able to beat Arsenal. And there's going to be a lot of nice individual battles to see. We know Ivan Toney, he has the aura, the confidence in himself that potentially one day he can play for a top 6 side. Like, let's see if he's going to be able to step up against the best centre-back in the world against Van Dijk, because we know he's a target man, and Van Dijk literally just cleared Lukaku a week or two ago by himself. Let's see if the Brentford fullbacks can literally deal with Salah and Mane, who have been in fine goal-scoring form this season so far. But in terms of this game, I just think Liverpool have just too much quality. We have too much confidence going into this game. Literally just rolled over Crystal Palace 3-0. Salah and Mane have been scoring a lot of goals. And I like the link-up play. I like the fluidity of our football so far this season. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory for Liverpool. Another clean sheet. Nothing to be disappointed by Brentford, but I think it's going to be a good win for Liverpool. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is Manchester United versus Aston Villa. And don't get me wrong, I think Man United fans should be happy that they won the game against West Ham. Obviously, 30 games undefeated away from home now, sitting at the top of the league with Liverpool and Chelsea, the other title contenders. So obviously there's a lot of positives going into this game against Aston Villa. But there is also a lot of negatives going into this game against Aston Villa. A lot. I don't know why Ole Gunnar Solskjaer keeps playing McFred in the midfield when it's clear as day it does not work. There's no creativity. We see Fred always losing the ball. And when he does not lose the ball, for example, he's always playing it sideways, uninspiring passes, no ambition to get the ball forward into the front men. And it honestly looks like a Fernandes, Pogba or Ronaldo show. Like it's always one of them having to create something out of nothing. It's never Ole Gunnar Solskjaer providing a succinct attacking plan to get goals. It's always the players having to produce individual brilliance on the pitch to get the goals that we saw of Lingard creating that out of nowhere. See with Fernandes creating that chance out of nowhere for Ronaldo. Honestly, I feel like Man United won the game in spite of Ole. He was even making substitutions so late, keeping McFred in the midfield until the 80th or 85th minute. I don't know what he was doing. I feel like the players bailed him out yet again like they usually do. But they're going against the Aston Villa side, who are in fine form at the moment. And even though they didn't beat Chelsea like 2 weeks ago, they deserve the point of 3 if they were more clinical in the final third. But obviously they weren't. They literally blew Everton 3-0 the other day. So they're going to be in high spirits going into this game against Man United, even if it's at Old Trafford. However, in this game, I think Man United are going to do what Man United always do. Crawl over the line, potentially concede a goal early, and that's what wakes them up. That's what makes them think, oh my god, we must score now, otherwise we're going to leave this game with no points. So I think individual brilliance from either Ronaldo or Bruno or Luke Shaw, one of them, and they're going to bail Man United out, bail Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out again, and I think Man United are going to be able to win at home and stay undefeated at home and win this game 2-1. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is Crystal Palace versus Brighton. Another derby, and I think it's going to be a good game because they usually have good games between those two sides. But in terms of this game, let me just start off with Crystal Palace. I think Crystal Palace fans should be optimistic in terms of this season, especially in their last 2 games. I feel like they played really well. The game against Tottenham, obviously beating them 3-0. But even the game against Liverpool, although Liverpool ran away with it in the last 10 or 15 minutes or so, I feel like they actually played well against Liverpool. They gave them a lot to handle, and I think at times I felt like Liverpool could potentially concede, since the chances Crystal Palace were making, they were goal-scoring opportunities, especially at the beginning with Zaha and Alisson on that world-class save. But they're going against a team, Brighton, who are even in better form. Brighton picking up 12 points out of 15. Brighton playing attractive attacking football. You're getting the best of both worlds. People thought Graham Potter football couldn't survive in the Premier League because obviously you're leaving yourself exposed for counter-attacks, especially when there's a lot of teams which thrive off that. But Brighton are proving that it does work. They're getting the results, they're getting the goals, and that was the main criticism last year because Maupay and Welbeck weren't getting the goals. There weren't enough goals in that side. Yes, you're getting the chances, but you weren't finishing off your dinner. But this season, it looks like they've been more clinical. So always rosy at Brighton, and I feel like potentially they could win this game. But it is a derby, and I think Crystal Palace are going to be up for it, and they're both very good sides. It's going to be hard to predict who will win. But in terms of this game, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw between these two sides. I feel like both sides will score, but I feel like both sides may be content in the last 15-10 minutes to get the draw because they won't want to concede